Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Zach, and in today's video I'm starting a new playthrough of my all-time favorite game, Trespasser. So Trespasser, unlike modern games, doesn't have like a difficulty setting you can launch into, and since I've played Trespasser so many times in the past, it has become where it's not super challenging anymore. I know most of the world pretty well, especially like the first half of the game that I've played more often, because sometimes I just don't finish the game when I start a new playthrough. So the first half of the world I definitely know very good, and there isn't a lot of challenge because the AI isn't super good. So with that in mind, I came up with the idea of Trespasser challenges, which will be a series of different playthroughs that I'll go through, where each different playthrough has a different concept for a challenge of that playthrough. So for the first playthrough, I'm titling this the Pacifist playthrough, where I can't pick up any weapons and utilize those weapons throughout the entire playthrough of Trespasser. So that should be pretty interesting. It should definitely enhance the difficulty. I'll be interested to see what you guys think about this concept, but without further delay, let's go ahead and jump right to it and start our first mission. So we have our beautiful low resolution intro video coming on here.
The person you're trying to reach is unavailable. Please leave a message after the tone.
Ann, are you there? It's Jill. Pick up the phone. God, don't tell me your mom was serious. You're in Costa Rica? Visiting the natives, huh? Sun, sand, and adventure? My little Indiana Ann, world traveler extraordinaire. Well, give me a call when you get back, okay? By the way, I thought you hated flying.
Auxilio, auxilio. Este es el vuelo CR-17. Hemos perdido poder en un grupo de... ¡Estamos cayendo!
The one great thing about this game is on modern computers, it loads so much faster than it used to. And when I had this idea, I initial thought was that this should be pretty easy, and then the more I think about it, there are certain areas, like when you go through that canyon, where there's literally raptors everywhere. That is probably going to be a very hard portion of the game. And another thing that I thought about is just the physics of this game. It was groundbreaking for the time, don't get me wrong there, but like having to like stack boxes is pretty frustrating. And a lot of times I would just use, like, if there's this box up there on this wall you see, if I had to knock that down, a lot of times I would just go, to the other side and just shoot it a couple times, and it would just fall right down. But without guns, that's going to be much more challenging. I'm going to actually throw like a rock at it or something and knock it down that way, which is going to be oh so exciting. I'm picturing a lot of those one day later type montages where I'm throwing rocks and it just cuts to me finally getting the crate knocked down.
Coco's one of the Cinco Muertes, maybe.
And I will try not to ever talk over the voiceovers, especially Hammond's, because that's one of the things I actually really love about this game is Hammond's voiceovers, just because they really add to the feeling that you're in or on side B there.
Maybe if there's a phone line or a radio. Engine. Some kind of... Wait. International Genetic Technologies. That was the company from the dinosaur trial. After the trial, that old guy, John Hammond, wrote a book. He said it was somewhere in Central America.
My name is John Parker Hammond. I was born on March 14th, 1928.
Oh no. Oh God. This is Site B. This is John Hammond's Lost World.
So that's one of the interesting signs that you'll see throughout the game and the beginning of Hammond's voiceover. That sign itself is kind of interesting because it actually looks like they're planning on opening a resort on kind of Site B. I don't know what all you'd be able to do since the dinosaurs are free roaming. But with all that being said, it'd be interesting to, this isn't really canon as far as the Jurassic universe goes, but we all know how that's kind of one of those things that Jurassic Park doesn't do great is how it's, ties all the different...
There must have been something in the memoir.
A Nobel Prize or a financial empire waits somewhere in a darkened room, in a dirty, derelict building, somewhere in the Pacific.
Alright, so you can knock these crates over and get across this ravine, but I actually usually like going off-road here, and you'll see why here in a second.
Brachiosaur, oldest of our recreations by 50 million years. The only true Jurassic native.
Oh man. He really did it. Now that is an incredible smell.
In May, the rains came. The smell of the jungle was everywhere.
So this reminds me, like, if you could have a HD remake of this game, it would be pretty cool, because, like, even certain things like the wonky physics and, like, the wrist and stuff like that, I can get over that. I've kind of adapted to that actually quite well, actually, with all things considered of how wonky it really is. But, like, when you stare off in the distance, you see the texture repeating, like, just having more foliage and stuff. I know, like, back then, like, this was killing computers, literally. Like, it was very hard to run. But just having, like, that actually covered in foliage and stuff would make, reduce that texture repeat. Because, like, even in modern engines, the texture repeat is definitely a thing. But with, foliage going on to break it up, you can make it look a lot better. So higher resolution textures, more foliage and everything. Even this ancient game could still be good. And, like, HD remakes are the thing right now. About to see our first carnivore up here, which is a little
I knew all along this was a stupid idea. They're probably out drinking right now. Anne? Anne who?
There's a raptor in here somewhere. Don't know exactly where it is. There it is.
The technology, the real trick of it, is still in there. In a darkened room, in an empty building with a dirty floor, it waits. The flashpoint, the origin of Jurassic Park.
Our friend down there is
A forest this wild, this unknown, has not been seen by any human since the great hunters of the early Pliocene.
And we have our second friend. At first I thought this was actually going to be kind of interesting, but the AI isn't super intelligent, so you can kind of just run past them. That would be one thing that would make Trespasser much more challenging. I know, like, an HD remake is something that's never going to happen, but, like, just making, like, raptors twice as fast as the player character, so you can't do silly stuff like this and just run away from them. That would be super awesome.
Velociraptor, a small theropod native to China and Mongolia. Pack hunter, quite vicious, and quite intelligent.
This was the place. This used to be just an urban myth.
Yep, just a little bit more speed, and I would have 100% been dead there.
Welcome to the city of tomorrow.
Welcome to Site B, an InGen research facility. For centuries, mankind has wondered about the dinosaurs, the largest land animals ever to have lived. Now, thanks to breakthrough technologies...
Alright, so this pretty much will end our first mission. First level is a very short Trespasser. It's kind of just like if you have never played it before, it takes a lot longer because there's like all the prompts in that first launch area right after you land that like teach you how to like shoot a gun and, you know, throw rocks and stuff like that. But since this is probably my 10th playthrough of Trespasser, I kind of already know all that. Alright, so I think this concludes our first mission. I hope this is going to be an enjoyable walkthrough and or playthrough of Trespasser, and hopefully this Challenges series is a good idea. If you like it, give the video a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, make sure you smash that subscribe button to stay tuned, and let me know if you have any suggestions on how to make this series even more interesting.